After growing up with a passion for soccer, Denis Maricic certainly developed a passion then for harness racing. I caught up with Denis to discuss both his soccer career and also his involvement in harness racing. Well, Denis, good to catch up with you. Now, with an ethnic background, soccer was always very passionate as far as the family were concerned.
Absolutely. At a young age, I played soccer, and most of my friends did. You know, coming from the background Croatian, that's all we did was to play football, soccer.
You went on to represent Australia in indoor soccer?
Yes, I did. I represented the men's open in indoor soccer, and I represented the state and in outdoor soccer, and I played in the state championships in the men's also too. Yeah.
So where did your soccer career really start to take off? Who were you playing for and what position?
It was at a schoolboys level, at probably the age of 9. I made the state team at schoolboys level, and it just progressed from there. Then I joined the men's and whatnot. It just excelled from there, and so always made the state team and whatnot from there, and always in the eye of the good teams.
So how did your career then flourish into Europe?
Well, I had a coach that came over, and he saw me and he said, come to Croatia and play. And that was a former Yugoslavia back then, and they actually went into turmoil back then when I was there, and there was a war then. And I did go on to have a little bit of a stint in France, but it was mainly in Croatia, and I ended up coming back home because of the tensions there in Europe, and I thought it's safer to be back in Australia.
Apart from soccer, you also run a very successful construction business where you're your own boss, so you can virtually dictate the terms to perfection as far as getting involved with the galloping and then harness racing.
Yeah. So I still got my construction business, so I did that, and now I'm in the latter ages of my twilight of my job, so I concentrate mostly on my horses. I love them. It's a passion for me. It's a drug for me.
Your first involvement in the thoroughbred industry, how did that come about?
As a young kid, I kept on going to the track, as all kids do. If we can nick off to the TAB, we'd place a few bets, and I got to know the local guys in Canberra very well, especially the Clearys, young Joe Cleary and his father, and they ended up training a few horses for me. And it stuck on from there. Peter Wiggins also trained a horse for me. It was just something that I loved. I loved to watch the horses, and I ended up getting into the gallopers first.
At that particular time you were involved with the Clearys, they had a pretty good horse called Clan O'Sullivan.
Yeah, they had Clan O'Sullivan. He, I think he came second in the slipper, just beaten, but he'd won 4 or 5, and it was a lot of excitement around him back in Canberra back then.
So how did the trip into harness racing, how did that begin?
Well, I had an old harness trainer that lived next door. His name was Les Cosslin. He stuck his head around the corner and he said, "Mate, give us $2,000 and I'll get you a winner first up." And I thought he was joking, so I walked back down to the house. I got $2,000. I said, "Here, do your best." The reason I said that, because I've been in gallopers and it's so hard to get a winner. They'd be training and their shin's sore, they have 2 runs, they go out. And, I'm looking at harness racing, and, they're running every week, and I'm going, what's the trick here? So I said, here's 2,000, do your best.
Dennis, that is such an appealing aspect of harness racing, where they can have 4 or 5 runs in a month compared to the gallops. And that durability is such a huge plus when you're trying to entice owners.
Yeah, it is. It is. I love it. They run all year round. You give them a bit of a break and they keep on going. I had one standard bred JB's Monarch who'd go, and I would have had about 7 or 8 gallopers in between that would broken down or didn't make it. So I thought, how good is this? It fuels my interest, and I thought, where's this been hiding? To me, it wasn't the money. It was the adrenaline of having winners and being in the sport and watching an animal grow and succeed.
I've known Les Coskin for a long time, and a very astute trainer.
Yeah, he is. He's a very astute beach trainer, sand trainer. I'm from Anna Bay near the beach, and that's where we train him. He's on the soft sand, and he is astute, and he knows what he's doing. He's retired now, but he was one of the better ones going around back then.
Yeah, when Les decided to hang up the harness, you then formed a good association with Michael Begin, and he was instrumental in getting you your trainer's licence.
Yes, he was. Michael lived down the road too. He was also a beach trainer, and when Les gave it away, I went to see Michael, and we hit it off like a house on fire, and I ended up going to his place, and he introduced me to all the aspects of harness racing and to beach training, and I excelled from there.
Dusty Delight was certainly a very successful horse in your early stages of your career.
Yes, he was. Dusty, I claimed here from Menangle, and we ended up winning 3 or 4 races with him. So he was good to us. Yeah.
The Fortunate Son has been very good to you, and for a very minimal, if any, outlay.
Yeah, he was. The Fortunate Son, he was taken to rehoming. He had bled through both nostrils here at Menangle, and they retired him. And I seen young Seaton. I said, mate, is there any chance I can get that horse? And he said, leave it with me. And I ended up getting him, and he's won here on a Tuesday, and he's won on a Saturday night, a Menangle series. It's amazing what a bit of love and care did. I love the horse to death. He's won 5 races for me, and close to $60,000. So he's been great to me.
The Bachelor's also been productive, but a horse by the name of Brexit has certainly lifted your profile.
Yeah, Brexit's just the bread and butter horse to me, but I love him to death. He's come 22 seconds for me in at Newcastle, and he's won over 12 races for me. So he gives me his all, and I love him, and I can't not go to the stables and not see him. So I'm keeping him going. He's 12 years old, and he's loving his racing. He did have a win about 4 weeks ago, and second last week. So he just keeps on going, and that's why I do it for. I just love going there in the morning and just seeing him.
Dennis, it's not hard to gauge the fact that through harness racing and the harness racing horse, the development of passion you have for this industry has gone through the roof.
Yeah, it has. Like I said, I couldn't see myself doing anything. As a young person, I loved sport, and as I got older, I loved developing the standard bred and watching him grow and getting my own systems in the sand. Like, I love the sand and a bit of swimming afterwards. It puts no pressure on their legs. That's why most of my horses are 12-year-old and plus and still going strong, because there's no impact on their legs, and they love what they do. And I throw them out in the paddock, and they spend all day in the paddock after their workout. And I do go attached to them a lot, but because I do own most of my horses, it's hard dealing with owners, and the only person I have to deal with is myself.
When you start talking about the beach training, you only got to go back and start thinking about what Vic Frost did. The Robinson family, Kevin and Terry and Chris, Joe Wilsley, Chris Gleeson, it's been a winning formula for so long.
Yeah, it has. Like I said, I think it's the impact. They have no impact on their joints, and I can keep them going forever. And they love it. They love it and thrive on it. They don't see the track. My horses come straight out of the paddock, and they go to the races. They never see the track, so that's a good thing. They only see them on trial night or race night. Other than that, they don't see the track.
No involvement now in soccer, but you do have an interest with the Sydney Roosters, but your attachment with them for a totally different reason to what we would expect.
Yeah, as a young kid, you always look to see which team you'd go for. Being from Canberra, I saw red, white and blue, and I thought, well, they're the Croatian colours. That's where my family's background is, and I said, well, that's a great team to go for. And they were very successful back then, so that was another reason. But the colours, mainly the colours.
Dennis is as good a formula as any.
Yeah, it is.
It's been great to catch up with you and continue to have that passion for harness racing. We need plenty of people like you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.